Content warnings for this episode. Child death, fascism, hanging. This episode was rated R for foul language.
Gemini, 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 Movie Podcast. Gemini, 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 Movie Podcast. Yeah.
Hello everyone, for the final episode of the Gemini Movies Pinocchio Podcast that's actually about Gemini movies. Finally!
What?
We are now on the actual formula for this podcast.
We're
Wow.
actually doing the real episode now.
Yeah, Ludo, what are we covering today for the Pinocchio finale?
We're gonna be talking about the two big releases of this year that are Pinocchio related. So the Disney Zemeckis Pinocchio and Del Toro Pinocchio.
Cool.
But first, we're gonna have a little talk about what we did this month.
Yeah.
Yes. Do
So
you want to
let's-
start, Alice?
Yeah. So I've been sick for most of the month. I felt like that. Because I got very bad when I got the cold, so I've been mostly in bed. As Ludo can tell, I have a very bad cough. But yeah, besides that, I've been just like in bed. Like, I did not actually do a lot of like consume a lot of media. Like, I played a lot of the new Pokemon game. It's pretty good. It's pretty enjoyable. After that, because I got very into it, I decided to play Zen 8, which is the Zen, like, that a lot of weirdos hate. And it's pretty good. It's just Pokemon. It's Pokemon. You catch the little guys. There's some funny little guys. Yeah, but yeah, you catch some little guys. Only in this one, which is, I'm currently playing Sword and Shield, you catch some little guys in the UK. Wow! You get some amazing. Wow! Finally. UK representation, but yeah, it's a fun game. I like it a lot. It is very funny that basically like because how Pokemon games like work and how they inspire by settings, they basically just like do it the most tourist way. But this time is hilarious because in Sword and Shield, the set I'm playing, they basically just make like every town like a Hobbit village, just to make the most like rural, musical, like old timey UK like token set you can think of. It's kind of funny. Yeah, but besides that, I've been just like, I've been watching the X-Files. Still a pretty good song.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. There's some very funny episodes. There's like the Cops parody that I talked about in like the Freaklings podcast. There's an episode of the Evil Doll that's just hilarious. Like every single like Evil Doll episode. They fight the Supercabla. It's not good, but besides that, there's some very. It's pretty good. It's probably like some of the best episode. When it's an episode, some of the best like episodic on TV. It's pretty good. And finally, I've been rewatching Buffy and Angel. Not a good show. This is the only thing I'm mentioning about Buffy. They literally do one of the most galaxy brain fucking like queer like. Like partnership freezing where they kill like one of the like two queer characters in the show by like having a bunch of evil nodes kill her, then like her partner just turns into the weird circle, and then for the episodes it basically becomes like a maximum overdrive. So you've seen it's hilarious. But besides that, I've been just like sick and sitting a bit. What have you been doing, although?
So I also have been sick this month, I think.
Wow.
Either this or at the end of last month. Pretty sure it was this month. It's been a long month. Yeah, right, because I couldn't eat the Nutella Belgian waffles because I was too sick. So it was this month, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I finally had the COVID and it stopped me from eating the waffles. It was terrible.
COVID is anti-waffles also. Anti-waffles.
Yeah. Should be cancelled, COVID, for that sentiment. But yeah, after recovering, I played a bunch of KOF 15 again, and somebody broke one of my Dirt Rally 2 speedruns, so I've been grinding that again to get it back. Yeah, that's most of it. Of course, I had like Christmas, visited some family members, gave some gifts. Gifted them like coffee cups because everybody loves coffee in my family. Yeah, that's basically it. And tomorrow gonna go party, I guess.
Wow,
because
nice.
it's New Year's Eve.
Before I move on, I just want to mention that I forgot the thing that I think is very important to mention that both Luther and I watched. We watched the Star Wars Christmas Special.
It's very important.
It was horrible. It was fucking horrible.
It's worse than like any description can like make you even assume.
It's like it's Panini. It's I also said this before we go to the actual part of the podcast. It's Panini Pinocchio color in which it's actually just painful to watch, and it's not actually that fun to watch. Even it's so I feel like it's so bad it's a good thing. It just
I
feels
think
like
I
I'm
would
talking myself.
rather watch the Benini movie again.
More stuff happens. You don't get the weird like VR porn scene.
Yeah, they don't scream around as much, you know? They don't make weird Chewbacca noises for like 90 minutes.
Anyway, let's actually just go to what the main cast of the podcast. So, every podcast, before we compare the movies and everything, we do our quick impressions. So I'll just start. Ludo, what were your impressions and what were your thoughts on Disney's Pinocchio and Del Toro's Pinocchio?
So, I'll let you decide which one is which. But one is like a out-of-body horror experience, and one is good. Yeah.
Oh, I see. You're taking the hardcore stance, the comparing stance. You are a Disney Pinocchio liker.
Totally. Yeah, you found it out. I love his lifeless eyes. I'm in love. I'm in deep love with the lifeless Pinocchio eyes that they made look like wood with painted eyes.
They look so bad. They fucking look so bad.
Like, you know that tweet with like, if me and my friends found E.T., we would have killed that shit with hammers?
Yeah?
It's that, but like as Pinocchio. If I met this Pinocchio, I would like destroy him with a hammer, just to be sure.
Well,
okay, that's my review. That's my overview.
Okay, let's just say this short because we're gonna have a very meaty podcast today. Very quick stuff. Disney's Pinocchio is then one of the most. It's both one of the most lifeless movies I've seen in a while, and also one of the most horrifying, like nightmare CGI machines I've seen because of who directed it. It's a bizarre combo of this is nightmares in a bad way, and this is lifeless. It's bad either way. Amazing. The Toro's Pinocchio is fantastic. Probably one of the best Pinocchio adaptations I've seen in a long while. It has a very like melancholic like tone I really adore, and most importantly, as a Pinocchio adaptation is something I always appreciate. It doesn't feel American. It feels actually pretty Italian and like not Americans. I don't know, like European. It's pretty good movie. I like it a lot. 5 out of 5 popcorn bags. Recommendation. Okay, so backstory.
Why? A question we could like. Can you answer this question? Because I haven't found that answer really. Why is this the year of Pinocchio? Do you have an answer?
Yeah, let's go. So a lot of people ask why are there like 3 different Pinocchio things, but this is the most I can come up. It's a weird coincidence. The Toro's Pinocchio, let's go. The Toro's Pinocchio has been in like post-production. Pinocchio loves Pinocchio. The Toro loves Pinocchio and has a fascination with Pinocchio, as it has a fascination with Frankenstein. And he always has this project. So in like 2015, 13, he announced this project. It was originally going to be by another producer. It then got like, I'll put articles about this, and then it then got like cancelled. It seemed like it was not happening. Then it got picked up again to be released this year. So it was a project that started in like the mid 2000s, got semi-cancelled, then got returned, and like going 2022. In 2010, Disney's Pinocchio is very funny. So in 2010, I've looked this up. Disney announced a live-action Pinocchio remake. This was very much early in the stage of like live-action adaptations. So it was originally going to be by Sam Mendes, the guy that did some of the new Bond stuff. Then it got switched in like 2015 to Paul King, the Paddington guy, who's now doing the very silly-looking Willy Wonka thing. There was an interview, so that got cancelled also. So there was an interview with the cinematographer that was going to work on Paul King's take on Pinocchio that was basically saying, yeah, this is dead, but he was talking about how he's hearing that Tom Hanks was trying to save the part because he really wanted to be Geppetto. So apparently Tom Hanks really saved the part, like somebody tried to save it up. So the new person that came up was this person by Zemeckis as the third and final director. As far as I can tell, I don't know what's up with Pinocchio 2 story, which is the one that we cover like from the last podcast. I don't know what the stuff was. That was just. I think it's not a coincidence. Basically, it's all like this cosmic like coincidence thing. Because it's
synchronicity.
All like, yeah, synchronicity. The Police song, synchronicity too.
Oh wow. Yeah, I guess that is it, because like I can't see any pattern in culture that was like building up to we all need to see the wooden puppet.
Like, I think this is just like, I think it's like just, this is all like just weird like coincidence of like just various factors. That this is like, that the Toro always wanted to do a Pinocchio. So this was always going to be like a project that was being long developed. And Disney always wanted to cast Sienna. So they always were working on a Pinocchio remake. And then the West kind of just happened, like Pinocchio 2 story, Lies of P, which is coming out next year, the animated Pinocchio movie that's coming out next year that is also like a long delayed project. Sometimes coincidences happen, basically. Which is bizarre, but that's just how life works.
Yeah, per coincidence, all of these kind of were going through some kind of pre-production or production hell.
Yeah, I think that's mostly like production hell stuff that made them all like come out in a similar time zone, like a similar time span.
Okay, so we already gave all the historical context basically in the first two parts, because we basically told you about the book and we told you about the many adaptations. So I think we all have the context established.
Yeah.
And because Alice is sick, I think we should just get right to the meat.
I just want to do some quick, can I just do some quick like dialectal like context? Like,
sure.
Like most people are probably familiar with this. Just like it's a very, I think this is very interesting. So let's go. Everyone probably knows that at this point that there was like this Mexican dialectal that shows up in the 90s, like this kind of like hollow like product that basically wised up, and like is somebody that loves like I think this was just what the focus is. Somebody that loves like traditional craft, like stop motion, like particle effects. Somebody that very much loves like classical hollow stuff, but is never like, as far as I can tell, like he has this with it was never like very much like a gatekeepy weirdo. Can appreciate like new hollow stuff and stuff that takes on gothic stuff and loves gothic things. So he's somebody that has a lot of passion towards like very much classical stuff, but can do it in a modern way and like likes to do this stuff. And then you have my friend, I guess, my enemy, I don't know, Robert Zemeckis, who is a fascinating character.
The poor man's James Cameron.
Yeah, it's interesting because Zemeckis like started in the 70s. He's still like one of the like old, like very old like Hollywood guys still doing work. And it's very interesting because he has always like he has like a bad period, like a very like kind of diverse in terms of like genre and content, like set of works. But he's somebody that always always wanted to experiment in terms of like innovation. Like his first movie, one of his first movies, like a very like long cutscene using actual colors. He's somebody that got invested a lot in stop motion, specifically in the 2000s. He started doing these animated works because he wanted to play. I'll say this: a lot of directors want to play with new tech because they want to, of course, challenge themselves and like play with, see if they can still do new things and not just be old. Zemeckis always tries to do it, but in the worst fucking ways. If you ever see the Zemeckis thing post like the 90s. It's horrible. It's fucking horrible. He always tries.
When we talked about it at one point, we described it as like he's always like one generation behind with his innovation.
Yeah.
Like he always thinks he has like the hottest shit, and then it just looks like an old video game cutscene.
Yeah, it's fucking bad. We'll go more into that when we talk about the competitor segment. So I think now I just wanted to do that to talk a bit about Zemeckis. Now we can go into the main cast. Let's go.
Let's start with cast and acting for, I guess we'll just always start with Zemeckis.
Yeah.
So we can end on a positive note.
Okay, so we have Tom Hanks as Geppetto, Besmont Evan Ainsworth as Pinocchio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jiminy Cricket, Keegan-Michael Key as Honest Donna, Lorraine Blanco as Sophie, Cynthia Erivo as the Blue Fairy, Luke Evans as the Coastman, Giuseppe Battison as Stromboli, Kyle Amler as Fabienne, Zaki Tahel as the voice of Savina, Angus White as Signor Hawezi, Sarah Ateams as Signora Bettelli, Liam Lloyd as Lumpwick, and Jamie DeMatteo as the headmaster. Okay.
So what do you think?
Okay. So I'll go this because apparently Tom Hanks really wanted to be Geppetto, like Bonini. He's bad. I think we can agree with this. Tom Hanks is bad in this, right? He's bad.
It's I don't get what he's doing, and like whatever he's doing, he's not doing it very well.
He's doing like a bad Italian accent, I think. He might even be switching accents.
Yeah, it's not clear if he's doing an accent or not, and then it changes between scenes how much he's doing one.
Like, here's the thing, I always been kind of ambivalent on Tom Hanks as one of those like big American actor guys. I think he's fine. He can both be pretty good and pretty bad. I think he's just like very workman-like, actually probably one of the most workman-like biggest Hollywood stars. He just is in a lot of things, and sometimes can be bad or not. Even like he's mostly like brand of just doing like a lot of like genetic kind of like stuff like this. But he's just kind of very baffling in this because he's playing like, he's clearly trying to play like a very emotional Geppetto, but a lot of it being part of also because of the script. It just feels very like hollow. It feels extremely like hollow, and the accent stuff is not helping because the I don't know, like the way he talks and the mannerisms feels so weird that the dialogue being so like nothing doesn't like benefit it. Like,
okay.
You get what I'm saying, Ludo? Like, he's clearly trying to do something emotional, but ends up just being very hollow.
Yeah, I can't quite pin down why this happened. If it's like a director thing, or if whatever Tom Hanks is going for, it's just not working at all. It could be a bit of both.
Yeah, I feel like it's very bizarre in parts and adds to the bizarreness of this movie. Like same with the Besman Avonworth, who like it's a kid actor. Like I'm never gonna be mean to the kids actors because like the issue mostly just like the issue like side acting and the honesty behind it. But yeah, he's just doing a very much. He's clearly been told to just do like 40s Pinocchio again. Like all there's no reason is Pinocchio. maybe
Yeah,
modernize
it
a
sounds
bit.
very similar.
Maybe modernize it a bit, but like it's just Pinocchio again. It's just Pinocchio again, in a way that feels very much just like like just trying to be the same thing that you could be watching.
You could
Instead of
say that
this.
for a large part of this movie.
Yeah, yeah. Same. I would say the same thing as just not to spend all the time on this, but like same thing with like Joseph Gordon-Levitt, just the cricket. It's just doing the Gemini cricket again. There's not a lot
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah.
Keegan-Michael Key as Honest Son is um, it's mostly how he's very filmed the movie, but this is probably one of the worst takes of the Fox. Mostly just because of the dialogue.
Yeah, whoever wrote that part, like, should not be allowed to work again.
Yeah, like I think he's fine. I like Keegan-Michael Key. I think he's a very good comedic actor often, but like just the way the Fox is written is very hello fellow kids.
They turn him into the Aladdin genie, basically, because he
Yeah.
makes contemporary jokes.
Yeah, so I'll say the West. Like the most of the cast is just like it's to be just like performances that feel very like Fondy and or just stuff that's like not like none of the like Stromboli or the Cosmen don't feel that much. They just feel like standard Disney movie villains. It's like there's not a lot to say after a while because a lot of it's just it feels very nothing, or it just feels like I'm just watching Disney's Pinocchio again but live action. There's not a lot to really like get out of the performances. Like I don't think it's like even bad. I just think it's very nothing. Would you agree with that?
I think the cast is not terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I think the issue isn't in the cast. It's not in like the people who work on the acting.
Yeah. I just think a lot of it is the writing and just how it's selected.
Yeah, like I liked Cynthia Erivo as the fairy, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the acting is solid. It's just it's hard to like sell you on like the heartfelt moments if it's all that like stale and lifeless.
Yeah, it's just a very poor script and very poor like performances that I think we can never more when we compare the writing and stuff like that. So, do we move on to like the Toro Pinocchio?
Yeah, let's talk about the cast and acting of that movie.
Okay, so we have Ian McGregor as Sebastian J. Cricket, David Wadley as Master Zepeto, Gregory Mann as Pinocchio, as Carlo, Bowen Goldman as the priest, Juan Portman as Podesta, John Turturro as Dottore, Finn Wolfhand as Candwick, Kate Blanchett. Kate Blanchett.
She's in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I just don't know how to pronounce her name. Though.
Blanchett.
Yeah, as Spazzatura. God, I cannot pronounce Italian. Anyway, Tim Blake Nelson as the Black Rabbits. Christopher Waltz as Count Poppy. Tidden Swinton as the Wood Spirit and that. Tom Kenny as Benito Mussolini's right-hand man and sea captain, and that's it.
Yeah. Pretty good shit.
Yeah, it's pretty good. A lot of this is you can notice the differences in writing, on writing direction, but also generally like it feels like they were giving more space. Like Ian McGregor is like doing like this kind of summing, like kind of sophisticated Sebastian J. Cricket, that kind of bit full of himself, and always kind of just wants to do the thing that he can never do. David Wiley as Zepeto is really wonderful, I think. Just this emotionality and kind of resolvedness and kind of like just bitterness.
Yeah, he does a very good job.
I'll say like the first 5 minutes I was a bit annoyed by like Gregory Mann's Pinocchio, but a lot of that's mostly just this Pinocchio is very much like very active, very much like like very out there. And
this is the Pinocchio for the ADHD generation.
Wow. but after that you can very get used to it, and Wegman can like put a lot of like just emotionality in the bad aspect of Pinocchio. Like he's always not just like this like happy little kid. It's very nice. Like Born Parliament, of course, got have the little staple. That's very good. I just want to say I really do adore Christopher Waltz's Count Volpe. I think it's a fantastic performance.
Yeah, it's interesting to see him do work in like voice acting, and he works just as well there. Yeah.
Like they fused. We talk about this more later, but like they fused the fox with the Fiolito, and you get this very wonderful fusion of this just arrogant guy that asshole is just like a very like petty con man, and it works. And
Yeah, he's the bad boss.
Yeah, and a lot of it I would say is a lot of say I think is it's being also stop motion because well it's not a live action movie but it being stop motion and the way it's animated there's a lot of expressiveness to the characters that even though they're not acting, like the voice acting adds to how the characters are expressing and emoting with already very like expressive and emoting animation.
Yeah. It suits the animation very well.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think the acting is just overall because you can notice the script just lets them. The script lets them do more stuff and lets them like fit into these modes and characters and ideas and archetypes that Disney's Pinocchio doesn't have because Disney's Pinocchio is so focused on just being Pinocchio, but even more like cut-down version of Disney's Pinocchio. So like with this, there's much more space to do that, and there's just a lot of like wonder and sun to it to the performances that I really adore.
Okay, anything else to
Do you have
acting?
anything else?
I just think it's very good.
Yeah, I think it's
Not really anything to add. I didn't know like that the monkey was who was it? Tilda Swinton or Kate Blanchett? Who was the monkey?
Yeah, it's Kate Blanchett is the monkey.
I didn't realize that until the end. It's such a unorthodox casting.
Yeah, because it's like doing like the Scooby-Doo thing with just like a bunch of noises.
Yeah,
Because
and like
the
she's friggin' Galadriel, and she's just playing a monkey here.
It's very funny because like this thing normally for this type of animal worlds, even in prestige animation, like I think this is bad, but this is interesting because normally you would get like a guy like Frank Welker that was a Scooby-Doo, and there's like a million animal voices. You normally get like an actual animation person that does animal voices, but I think it's a bit humble honestly, even if I prefer an actual like anime voice actor in most of these cases. To just have like a very popular actors going, yeah, I'm just gonna do a bunch of like animal noises for this world. That's just
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, let's continue.
Okay, the plot of Zemeckis Pinocchio. This is a pretty formulaic retelling of 1940s Disney Pinocchio with so small minor changes. That's basically all there is to it.
It's mostly visual changes also. A lot of it is mostly just like what changes there is just Zemeckis doing Zemeckis stuff. Like
Yeah, a lot of it is visual fluff or like changing the perspectives in a scene.
Yeah, like this is the thing. Like here's the thing. This is how most of this like Disney remakes work. They will basically just adapt like most of the movie and change like a couple scenes, but in reality, like it's you're just watching the same thing. You are basically just watching the same thing, and so what you're watching is Pinocchio, the '40s movie, with like a couple same scenes, mostly visual. There's not a lot of it. There's not a lot of it to just comment because the plot is just identical, and the pacing is even more speedwise because they just go in the entire segments in like 5 minutes, and that just ends. It's extremely speedy in the worst ways. It just goes.
Yeah, it
goes,
kind of
goes,
just
goes, goes.
rushes you through, like
Yeah,
in an attraction at a theme park or something.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Do you have anything else to really say about this? Because it's just hard to talk about the plot because there's not really a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like add anything here.
I
I think we
guess
can
it's-
go to the interesting movie.
No, I guess because the only controversy with this, like, not racist being racist, is like the ending. Do you want to talk about the ending now, or we're gonna leave that to the thematic thing? Because that goes into.
Because both movies have a similar beat at the ending.
So let's go. Wait, that for the.
I guess, yeah, we can just say the big change is that Pinocchio doesn't become a guy. He
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
become a real boy.
Yeah,
But it doesn't earn that. It doesn't earn it at all.
And we would talk that when we talk about the themes of the total thing, I feel, but like I was just saying now, it feels very worse and just bizarre, and just I'm very baffled by it.
It was uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, as I say, Zabek did like an interview about this and said that this was going to be more faithful to the book. This is less faithful than the actual 40s movie.
It had like one scene that's in the book that's not in the original movie, and that's like the scene where he talks to a bird.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
It's more faithful by one scene.
Wow, they really reinvented the wheel here.
They're really respecting.
Yeah, love the
But yeah.
respect for all the Italian tradition of talking to birds.
Anyway, let's just move on to the Toro Pinocchio.
Okay, so the Toro movie is basically Pinocchio transplanted into 1940s fascist Italy, and succeeds at being the Pinocchio story you all know, while adding narrative flourish and being funny.
Yeah, I think this is just like, I think how Pinocchio adds the story is just very kind of, this is what I like to listen. I tend to be more adverse of like, I tend to be more like whatever in terms of like adaptations that we make, because I think there's like a lot like folk to this and everything, even like if a lot of remakes done by capitalism. Like, I'll say this, I think there's a lot of like value when like adapting something that means a lot to you, like the Talos does it, and just but doing something new with it and just not doing a straight adaptation. Even if I don't think straight adaptations are bad, but like I think what the Talos Pinocchio does is it's very much like feels very personal. Even though just because I want to mention this in some place, this is not just Del Toro. Like, of course, there's more people working this, and the script was by Del Toro and Patrick Mihaly, who wrote a lot of Adventure Time and like Over the Garden Wall, which is a very good like horror kids cartoon thing that I really like. This has very much stars, but this feels very much personal, and it combines elements of like the Toros and like other creatives like interest in fascism, like Catholicism, Catholic guilt, like that, and combines it with the love for Pinocchio. And what you get is a thing that feels very Pinocchio, while also feeling its own thing and feeling like it feels like art adaptations of Pinocchio and feels like so many things. It's very much
Yeah,
its own
it's
take.
I can only compare with stuff like AI or Tree of Palm, where it like
Yeah.
manages to evolve the idea so far that it becomes like a whole. It has a whole other layer of like other ideas and themes.
Yeah, so, and I think I really like about this is how it feels very much its setting. Like I said, this feels very much like it's Italian, but also feels very much like it's part of the setting. Like how the characters look, how the settings and buildings look. What I mean is just how like the houses look, how things look, how like the people look. It so feels very much like familiar. Like it so feels very much like likable. I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying, Ludo? Like it's just
It has a
much
very charming look.
yeah. It just very much feels like it's in the setting the story is talking about. Not just in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sense
yeah.
of it's in fascist Italy. I mean, it's just it believes in the setting. I mean, it
Yeah,
feels
it's
like it's
the world feels whole. Like
Yeah.
we're not just playing with the toys or like being on a movie set. It's like it's its own little world.
was like it's interesting because like there's a lot of artifice with animation, but like with a lot of like with a lot of mediums like theater, while embracing the artifice, you can believe more in the story. like all of this is animated. It's not real in any sense, besides using like some maybe like real landscapes, but like it's very much like by it being so distant from like reality, it becomes real by you taking it seriously, which I find very likable. I just really, but yeah, I think how it does it is very good. Like how it keeps on like the various like episodic beats of Pinocchio and adds new beats, fuses some, and combines it, which I really like. Every part feels still pretty episodic and beat by beat, in a way I like, while feeling still whole. And it feels very well paced for like it's like 2 hours, right? It's like 2 hours.
Yeah,
right?
it's a 2 hour movie.
It feels like very like paced well, because by it being episodic and just beat by beat and focus on certain segments, it never feels that long because it's always just not just focusing on something new. It's always focusing on a specific like emotional moment or thing the writers and team wants to like talk about.
Yeah.
Do anything to say, or like any more element?
No, I think the listeners should just watch it for themselves and experience the whole of the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
If they want like to really get all there is in this plot, because a lot of it is gonna be in the teams when you talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So let's go to the themes of Zemeckis Pinocchio.
Okay, Ludo, what do you think the themes of Zemeckis Pinocchio are?
Protesting is for naughty children, and wishing upon a star brings totally results.
There's a wooden boy. And you see, okay, let's stop doing that. I'll stop doing the bit. So this is bizarre. This is probably like the last. Like this barely has a model basically. Well, it has models, but we'll go back into that. Like it removes most of the models from Pinocchio, and it's just like a thing that exists and goes along as a plot. Like,
I mean, it kind of keeps the themes from the original Pinocchio one, and then slap some contemporary ham on it. Like there is the whole lying thing.
Yeah, but it feels very like subdued, not subdued, like like it feels very just like half baked, like just have those elements because it wasn't the Disney's Pinocchio.
Yeah, because the movie fucking sucks.
Yeah, like it feels so lifeless, like thematic wise, it's doing nothing because it's just. This is a thing because it's so like this is the thing that this Disney remakes by wanting to be so faithful to the thing, it becomes so lifeless because it's just repeating the thing without thinking about the elements of the thing besides repeating it. So even if
I don't know if they don't think about it, I think they just like the process by which Disney makes movies just leads to movies that like have no soul.
Like
they're just all like, what is acceptable? What's respectable? How do we meet all these meters? Like they're just optimizing a product. They're not actually like making art. Like this is art, but it's like the most commercial it can get.
Like I feel like with the remakes though, a lot of
they removed the cigarette salad. It's too fucked up to make a puppet smoke a cigarette.
Listen, I don't smoke, so I don't care. I'm sorry.
No, I just find it funny that like this is like a more sanitized version.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. But like I said, I think there's just like I do think there's an element of like just doing the thing whatever by like a capitalist interest or not. It's just like they're just repeating the movie without like anything else.
I mean, there is some like extra stuff, like bad jokes and needless CGI fluff that happens in the Pleasure Island.
No, that's you see though. That's just Zemeckis' car nightmare.
Yeah, that's just Zemeckis going off on his bullshit. Like, but there's no real meaning. And I didn't joke about the protesting shit. That happens. It's on Pleasure Island.
Let's talk about this. So in Pleasure Island, like you describe it, like a little.
So in Pleasure Island, the kids engage in naughty behavior, like destruction of property, and just being rambunctious. And one of those, like, they go like through a theme park of naughtiness, right? They're like on a carousel of naughty.
Yeah.
And one of the sections of that carousel is basically just children protesting, which will like holding up shields and walking in circles, which implies they're at like a picket line or something.
Yeah.
So once again, we have the mirror, because like one of these movies was made by a unionized studio.
Yeah.
And has like a scene where they basically fight the exploitation of their labor, Pinocchio and the monkey.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other one has like children being shown doing picket lines as something evil and bad.
And don't they turn into monsters or something? It's like they are the masters to the thing.
I mean, they don't turn into monsters; they turn into donkeys.
Don't they have like sad monsters in that scene though? Like weird sad monster guys.
Isn't that another movie? Isn't that the 2000 Geppetto movie?
Wait, this is a bad movie. Have sad
I can't keep them apart. They're both Disney movies and like both live action, and it all blends together after a year of Pinocchio. I don't remember the Shadow Monster.
I think that's a sad monster, but anyway.
It could be your fever dream.
Like anyway, I think the thing is like, I think just like, but yeah, like I think it's just like a bad lifeless movie, and like when there's themes to it, they're just bad. But yeah, let's go to the top Pinocchio, because I think there's a lot of stuff to dig in, and we go back to Zemeckis when we talk about the ending, because I want to talk about the ending differences. So yeah, the themes of the Toro's Pinocchio.
Well, I got here death, loss of a loved one, father-son relationships, fascism, the virtue of disobedience, and the exploitation of labor. Now that's a handful. Now that's a hand in the mouthful of themes. Del Toro has done it again. I guess we also have Catholic guilt.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is like jam-packed. You can like talk about what's going on here from like a theme perspective forever.
Yeah, like
because it focuses like on different elements of the Pinocchio story that either are only mentioned in passing in the movies or the book, or evolves entirely new layers to some of the elements by adding story parts.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, and that's just like fusing elements with the like setting because of the World War II elements.
Yeah,
I really do like I found the Catholic guilt elements very interesting. It's like somebody that has very complicated feelings about Catholicism and is technically still practicing Catholic person. It's you can very much feel like an element of like not just at all, but just like this guilt or like complexity with Catholicism as a thing, specific because they do tie like there's very much elements of like this calls out like this calls out like the Catholic source like working with fascist Italy and like fascism around the world. While also you can see like Geppetto very much like being for like the first part of the movie very much being like focused on like this Jesus statue that's both used as a thing of propaganda. And that's stuff is complicated because like it was a thing he was making while his son died. It's like there's a lot of complications and feelings about the tie metaphorically and like very textually, very like openly in the text with regards to like Catholicism, like Catholic.
Yeah, also they draw very, very direct parallels between Pinocchio and Jesus.
Yeah. It's the Jesus boy. He's with him now.
Yeah, he comes back from the dead and he does T-pose for the Lord.
Yeah, like one of my favorite elements of this also is it adapts the... So in Pinocchio, we talked about this in the podcast, when Pinocchio gets hanged, he gets brought into the roof of his house by a group of like animals like to get revived like in a funeral coffin. This adapts this with Pinocchio actually dies, but he gets revived. Basically, is immortal and can always like revive.
Yeah, there's two blue fairies basically in this, and one gives him life and one brings him back to life.
Which feels like it feels very like paganist, I guess, like folk religion.
Yeah, it's completely those elements are like completely in their own little fairy tale world that is very unchristian.
Yeah, but like
Because
so,
like the afterlife usually doesn't look like this in Christian models.
yeah, so like there's an element of like playing with like Pinocchio is immortal, and that can be his benefit. Like how when we talk about the endings, like that is also like an issue because fundamentally he will never die in a way that people he cares about will die. And so it's
Yeah.
like there's this feeling about he can tweak that, but he cannot tweak that to like like remove the death of those who are mortals, which I find also very interesting.
Yeah,
Like-
and like it makes a big change by him sacrificing his immortality to save Geppetto in the end, and that leads us to the comparison of the endings because they both do that. Geppetto is dying and like then comes back to life, but through different means in both movies.
Do we talk about the endings now? Then
Yeah,
okay, let's go. So like this, like here's the thing. I don't want like even a Disney movie is made by like a lot of different creative people that want to do a good movie. So like I just don't want to toss it in to go. This is better than this is better. But I just think this shows why I like the Toro's Pinocchio. Not just because normally I like the Toro's art, but because this I find it just a very interesting piece of animation and art, etc., 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 etc. Like in the Toro's Pinocchio, Pinocchio doesn't become human because, in a way, that Toro understands that becoming human is itself just like not what Pinocchio is. He is a human, like animalist boy who fundamentally doesn't need humanity because he already has the humanity that is needed. Not physical humanity, like emotional humanity.
yeah.
Like-
he matures into a person through the movie.
And I do want to talk about the handling of fascism in this, but like in a way, humanity is fascism, like not in the way of like we are all masters, but like just that's the sordidness, there's just like this like thing of like just being putting humans as like this solid body, this physical body, is kind of shown like to be an element of like the fascism and stuff like that, and in a way, Pinocchio was acted this by just like being himself, being just this wooden boy that just stops and is animalistic and is magical.
It kind of
way.
goes into the same thing that Shape of Water pushed with like embracing the inhumanity, basically the monster.
Yeah, but like, so I found this interesting. In Disney's Pinocchio, Pinocchio doesn't like become a weird boy, but in a way it's just done like, it's bizarre because I think the goal is honestly not that bad of saying, hey, you don't need to really become anyone, you can only be yourself.
It felt like they just ran out of money or forgot about it.
Honestly, yeah, also.
Like, it's not like it thematically built to some sort of conclusion where they would like make Pinocchio realize that he doesn't need to become a real boy and shit. It was just like, well, the movie ended, so I don't know how we're gonna build this in or something.
Which again, like the thing, I said the backstory, this thing has been in production since 2010. This thing has been zero promoted. There's only like 3 interviews with the cast. Disney just wanted this to die, basically. They wanted it on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
So like it feels
nobody
extremely
had
rushed.
confidence except maybe Zemeckis and Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it's like it feels extremely rushed, but like I think even if it's very like basic thing, it's like a citizens thing, like just as another thing of like just be yourself. It's fine, but it's very obvious. Like I don't know, like I said, there's probably a lot of people who wanted to do something with this Pinocchio, but it just feels very like it does feel like there's just one like did not have the money or like Disney just said, please just put this out, let Pinocchio die.
Yeah, there isn't like any coherent vision. in that movie that would like make it better. Because like Zemeckis just isn't great on selling you on like a emotional story.
No, but
And he tries to be all sentimental at the end and it doesn't work.
he's mostly like a visual guy. That's always been his thing. It's always
Yeah,
been-
his stuff is spectacle.
it's like the most. I don't even say this in a bad way because I like a lot of it. It's the most like pure like Hollywood popcorn there is, which is not bad, but this doesn't work at what the more emotional beats like Pinocchio's trying to do. This is not. I would say this. This is Pinocchio doesn't have the. Which is bizarre because Pinocchio doesn't have the emotionality of Forrest Gump, because because Forrest Gump had other screenwriters.
Yeah, and I guess no lifeless puppet that was like trying to sell you on being sad.
Wow. But anyway, like I think like the ending and like the Toro Pinocchio is very good because it's just it's a fascinating thing to examine that I think. So I've heard
They just kill everybody at the end, or basically everybody dies.
that is not Pinocchio.
Yeah,
But-
everybody but Pinocchio becomes old and dies, and then Pinocchio puts the fucking cricket into his heart, and you're like, holy shit, this is so sad.
Like it's fascinating because I think like this is like, I think this is very interesting because I've seen people calling this person Pinocchio like an anti-Pinocchio because of the end he resets becoming human. But I think this is less being anti-Pinocchio and more just doing just doing like its own spin on the thing.
Yeah, and like Pinocchio did the most human thing at the end. He sacrificed like basically his life for another human.
It's not being an anti-Pinocchio, like it's not a take on Pinocchio because the Toro likes Pinocchio. It's just putting it in different contexts, which I find interesting. But yeah, last thing, let's not put this too much. I think how the depiction of fascism in this is pretty good. It shows like the base like with Panslab and stuff like that. It shows like the base like elements of fascism, like there's a lot of stuff like brainwashing kids and stuff like that, fascism. But that seems like shows like the Catholic source like being part of fascism and stuff like that. I was a bit afraid that this was might be a bit too like liberally Pinocchio destroys Mussolini with facts and logic stuff, but
No.
it's not in the movie. That
Doesn't happen.
Like Pinocchio doesn't like I don't know, like fascism.
Pinocchio
is not
just literally just taunts Mussolini with like poo jokes.
yeah, like Pinocchio doesn't go. I own you. Facts
Like
and
his
logic."
virtue isn't facts and logic. His virtue is disobedience.
Yeah.
Like he just doesn't want to behave to these rules, and he wants to make fun of these people.
Yeah, actually, the Mussolini scene is pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like it has like a bit of a like the big dictator vibe to it.
Great dictator, not the big dictator.
The great dictator vibe to it, in how
Yeah.
like it makes fun of a dictator.
It's pretty funny. I think the handling of fascism this is very interesting and nuanced, like very much like Del Toro and like Mikhail probably and other people looking this. They probably like wet some wet echo and stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
pretty good.
it feels informed by like somebody who like read up on Italian fascism and like the aftermath and everything.
I just want to say, because I mentioned us at this, there's also the element of like Pinocchio is like the Frankenstein master, because the Toro has talked about this in interviews. He thinks of that Pinocchio as Frankenstein not only because he can be adapted in various like contexts, but like he is this kind of like machine master, not machine master, but like proto machine stuff like that, like this like Prometheus guy. They find an
Yeah.
interesting like take on take on Pinocchio, and like it's very much like you can see elements of like Gothic horror on Pinocchio, and like
Yeah, we talked about that in the book review.
so yeah, like I think it's very good thematics wise.
Okay,
What else?
Time for cultural relevance of Pinocchio Zemeckis. Oh, this is gonna be cruel.
Oh my god, so I'll say this again. Again, I said no, I do not want to insult anyone in the team. Even media made by a big corporation like Disney is not one single voice. There's a lot of people trying to do that. I know people who work on Disney stuff, mostly Disney shows. They're very good people. I'll say this thing was barely obviously just sent to death. This thing was just sent to death, basically.
Nobody wanted to actually. Nobody believed this would actually make money or be popular.
It was a thing made in 2010 that switched between three directors. That was basically only saved because Tom Hanks really wanted to be Geppetto, I guess. So like, it's really bizarre that honestly, it's very bizarre that this exists, knowing the backstory to this, because like it very much feels one of those things where like this. This probably should have never come out. Nothing like this is so bad it should have never come out. It's just.
So what is it? So was it? Is it cultural relevance, Alice?
As a thing to be done by bad YouTubers, I guess.
That's pretty close to what I wrote. The videos dunking on it will be the last time this gets remembered.
Like people will make you remember the lifeless Pinocchio meme.
Yeah,
like,
nobody will like look at these pictures and laugh in 5 years, except if like it gets completely forgotten.
Yeah, it's not even that kind of thing. It's not even that memeable.
No,
because besides like the Zemeckis visual flair nightmares, like those scenes are very sparse in between a lot of just badness and like a lot of like mundaneness and blindness. And also, no one besides like weird movie weirdos like me care about Zemeckis being a movie weirdo. It's like
I'm sure there's some Zemeckis fan out there.
Yeah, like the mainstream, like not the people like me that are like, wow, let me see what Mr. Zemeckis has done bad this way, you know, like this. Yeah, it's just like there's not like it won't have a lot of relevance.
Yeah, I think like we barely talk about the other Disney remakes, and this might be the worst one.
Like even the good ones get barely talked about. Like even like the well good ones, people barely mention. So like this would like not be mentioned probably. The total relevance. Like I think more than this. Like I think this will be remembered by a lot of people, even more than just it being the total, it being actually Mikhail, who's like a very popular like cartoon guy. It's also like this weirdly has a lot of that weirdly it has a lot of talent to it. Like Guy Davies, the famous like comics illustrator, did like a lot of like Hellboy stuff, worked on it. There's a lot of people that if you know like North Theater, you know them. So like those elements of this elements are like very much popular among the circles. But also like this was one of like this year has been weirdly very good for stop motion, extremely good, and I think this has been like just like one of the biggest ones. So I think people remember it in the context like this has been a very good year for like stop motion. But that's what I think this is just a very good movie. It did well like. It did well in like festival circuits that don't talk about animation a lot. It got reviewed positively. It's doing pretty well, I think, on Netflix, even though like Netflix like views things are very much like fake. So like I don't know, I think this will be remembered.
I have a daunting thesis.
Why? What?
Maybe as eternally relevant as Pinocchio.
Wow.
Like the way this like talks about certain subjects like father-son relationships, loss in general and death, and also fascism, and like how disobedience is the cure against it. These are themes that will stay relevant through the decades, I feel. I don't think we're gonna get rid of any of these themes as like being like essentially human. in the future.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think with like Del Toro's name already being like one of the big directors of our time, I think like one of the more interesting or important ones. I think even like in a few decades, this movie will still be re-examined for like its rich, not only the way it was made, very with a love for detail, but also like its rich text and ideas.
Okay.
So let's go to cinematography for Zemeckis Pinocchio.
Okay. It's fine. No, after this, there's two parts of this. There's parts of this was like it's very flat, but it's fine. It's just it's a movie that was shot. There's parts where the cinematography goes wild because it's Zemeckis call hours.
Yeah.
Like in Pleasure Island, the Pleasure Island segment. The cat that fucking goes wild. Like it starts rotating and stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's not the worst, but there's no trick to make me enjoy Pinocchio's lifeless gaze.
Like after that Pleasure Island segment literally made me sick. Like which is well for a movie to do.
Yeah, it reminded me of some of the segments in Polar Express that get like very disorienting.
It's bizarre because you have like elements of like this very much like it's just a movie that's shot like this very much like very fine to be honest, like just shooting and cinematography. Then you have Zemeckis being Zemeckis, and so the camera explodes and starts rotating and zooming and stuff like that with the rest of the segments.
Yeah, mostly in like CGI heavy segments that are mostly made for spectacle. Yeah. Yeah. Let's just not talk more about this.
Yeah.
I'm done talking about Zemeckis Pinocchio. I'm feeling it.
Well,
I'm feeling it in my bones. Cinematography, Del Toro Pinocchio. It's incredible stop motion visuals.
yeah, the stop motion this is incredible. Like they got like Cinema City, I think was the studio for like Robot Chicken was like Robot Chickens is whatever, but like normally like they're one of the few like American studios still like doing like a lot of mainstream like stop motion, and like the stop motion this looks incredible. It's very detailed, it's fine. It looks very traditional. Everything looks super old in the cat design and stuff like that. They did not just get like good. It was not just well directed, well shot, or like well made. They got people like I mentioned, like Guy Davies, stuff. People like in comics and stuff and animation who work and stuff like, who like work on like a lot of like pulp or like old media, inspired stuff. And it has a very good look, and I love how the cats look. I love how it's shot. There's some very beautiful shots in how the camera is shooting them, like shooting the stop motion. It's really like the last shot, like not the last, like the last couple shots in the movie are very wonderful. Like this very like wide lenses, like very like like the laid back camera stuff like that.
Yeah. I think you can really sense that there were like 1,000 days of shooting in this movie. Like this is a multi-year project, and like they took as much time to get it done as it took, and because of that, like every part of this movie just feels lush. Like it isn't focused so much on like making big set pieces and more of like getting all the little details right. And so every location feels like really real and lived in and old. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the way the camera moves is really good. There's a lot of like dynamic camera work. Yeah, like no notes.
There's a lot of like very good scenes, like just how the camera follows, specifically how it animates. Just really impressive. I really like it. It's just good. Okay, let's go. Music.
I don't remember anything from the Zemeckis Pinocchio music except the terrible version of Wish Upon a Star that Pinocchio sings at the end.
Okay, so this is another thing that's come with the two movies. The two movies, they're technically both musicals. Zemeckis' Pinocchio is technically a musical. There's like 3 songs. And
Yeah,
like,
I don't remember even a single line or melody from it.
here's the thing
It's
with them.
forgettable.
They're like incredibly bad plays where like it just feels, hey, you remember the thing? Remember the thing, brother? It happened.
Oh, one of them is the coach, the coach rider song, right?
Yeah.
Going to, and then there's the Blue Fairy song, and then there's, I guess, the Wish Upon a Star at the end.
This just feel very flat, not because of the performances or anything. They just put very flat in terms of the movie, and just like feel flat, like it's not interesting musically.
It takes no risks, which like even Geppetto 2000 took more risks. They had
What?
like
The anti-Boston's?
no, they had the other guy singing a song. Who was he?
Assel? Yeah, Assel.
Yeah, they had Usher. Like, come on, they can't even beat Geppetto 2000. How fucking bad do you have to be?
They can't even beat to Kelly. Well,
Yeah. So this is just nothing. Like, this is legit. I have nothing to say about this. Don't watch this movie. Del Toro Pinocchio soundtrack. It's
really
good.
like it. I really like it. It's a very good musical, actually. Like, the music feels very, like, well placed. It's very emotional. It actually switches genres a lot. It's pretty good. It's very obvious that Del Toro Michaelo anyway, or whatever, just really likes old musicals. It wasn't that formula. We're still feeling the songs feel different enough.
Yeah, there's a running gag of Evan McGregor starting to sing and then getting smacked.
He finally sings it after he dies. It's very funny.
Yeah, after he dies, he gets a post-credit, like, classic Broadway musical scene, and it's pretty good.
It's very good. I like it a lot. The song where like Pinocchio goes looking after his Zepeto is pretty good also. Like Zepeto goes like looking after Pinocchio.
Yeah, I also like the song where Pinocchio is figuring out the world and he's very excited. That song is very funny.
It's really good. It's really good at like using music to like express the character's emotions.
Yeah, I won't listen to any of these tracks outside of the movies, but it fits perfectly. There's also a lot of like Italian folk flavors mixed in with a lot of the songs, like a lot of picked guitar and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So, anything else to note at the end, Alice, as we enter the end of Pinocchio Fever?
It's time to do the movie nights thing. We pick the next movies we're gonna cover.
Oh, you want to go straight to it then? Okay, enter your 217 into the random number generator.
Wait, 17?
Isn't it 217?
Wasn't 20?
213.
It's 22.
That's the strawberry statement and getting straight.
Let me see. After we bussen early and PM, our dramas about the campus we vote. Let's go, 70s campus we bought cinema.
Let's go. That sounds good. So thank you all for listening to Pinocchio Fever. Support Alice on Patreon. Where else can we find you, Alice?
Alice Sulafwa1 on Twitter, Alice Zoga from Podcast on co-host, etc. Twist, Alice Sulafwater. And you?
Co-host and Twitter, Ludovico_LTD. Catch me there. And see you all next time on Gemini Movies. Bye.
Wow.